What's up guys, it's Brandon with GrizzlyWorks RC, back with another video on the SCX10-II Deadbolt build. This video is mainly going to be focused on getting the new body mounted on. However, I do have a little bit of an update on the last video with the suspension, in particular the shocks that were extremely stiff. I did end up cutting the springs. I cut them as much as I possibly could without having issues of them coming unseated every time you cycle through the suspension. It did make it better, so there is now a little bit of movement when you pick it up and drop it down. It's not terrible. It's still a little bit too stiff though. However, the shocks are gonna end up having to be replaced. They are just pouring oil out of them. Now that the suspension actually cycles, there's no keeping the oil in there. So unfortunately, those are gonna have to go. I do have replacements coming, which I'll go over when they come in. Other than that, I don't think there were any other updates on it. So I'll just jump into what I have going on right now. So as you can see, I now have some inner fenders sort of on there. The back, unfortunately, because of the new body, I can't run the full fender. This is as far as I can actually go with having to cut it in order to fit the body in place. One of the things I had to do with this was I had to change the wheel face on here in order to fit this new body, because I went with the Deadbolt setup, which is a short wheelbase, but I needed that 12.3-inch wheelbase for the new body. I'll go ahead and jump right into showing you this new body. And this is what we're going to be going with on here. So it is an Injora Jeep Brute body. It's pretty neat the way they did it. They have a 4-door JKU, and they basically just used that same body and changed the roof a little bit. So it's kind of a short roof, and then added a bed in the back here. It's actually got this little cover. If you remove this, there's actually the rear seat for the Jeep is under here, or at least the bottom portion of the rear seat is under here. Overall, the body's it's pretty nice. Doors open on it. In order to get it to fit on here though, because of this massive transmission, I did have to cut a lot of the interior out. There were a couple issues with the body when I got it as well. First main issue was in shipping, somehow the seat backs were damaged. So these are all supposed to be pins that kind of hold the seat backs in place, and they were all broken. So the other issue is one of the actual fenders broke. So a tab broke off here. This is for the back driver side here. And there's actually a little tab up in the body that broke, but it can still mount without that tab being fully in place. I contacted Injora though, sent them pictures, and they are actually sending new parts out for me to fix all the parts that are broken. Things that I added to it: added a snorkel on, little hood vent, and a little bit different front end here. And yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty good once it's all said and done. Something else I did, this little cover here, it's usually solid. I went ahead and mounted some magnets to it though. I did have to trim out of here to be able to fit some of my wiring for the batteries through. But it's a nice little compartment with magnets on there. Let's see, in order to get a battery in here, I did have to design a rear battery tray. I'm only going to be able to run shorty packs with this because there's just not enough room for a full-size pack between the inside of the body and the transmission and everything there. So it is a nice low-profile one. It does clear everything once the battery's in there. The Velcro's out of the way, and I have plenty of clearance. Could even drop it a little bit lower if I wanted to. So the body, though, like I said earlier, had to be very cut up to get it to fit on here. This transmission sticks up into the interior quite a bit. Because of that, I am going to be painting this transmission black in the future, just to kind of clean up the inside of the body. Also, when those new seat backs get here, I'm going to have to trim some of those, or some off of those as well, some plastic off of those, to be able to get those to fit into place. But let's take a look at all the trimming that had to be done. So I tried to trim as little as possible on here, but there is still a lot. So on here there is an electronics tray that's built in. This is not removable unless you cut it off and then move it. I didn't feel like doing that, so I did have to clearance the body a lot to be able to get it to fit over this and still clear everything. On this side right here, that's where the ESC sits. I did move that over to this side instead of having it in the back, because if I would have kept the ESC back on this side, I would have had to take the seat out completely, which I did not want to do. Like I said, I had to trim a little bit back here to be able to fit the wires for the battery, because they stick up just slightly into this area. So I think on the inside of this box, I'm eventually going to kind of seal that section off so that I can actually use this to put stuff into if I wanted. Yeah, let's take a look at the inside of this body here. So we do have light buckets for 5mm LEDs for the headlights, and on the back there is room for 5mm LEDs for the back. I really like the way this ended up looking in here, or on here. I think it gives it a really nice aggressive look. Once those new shocks come in, this is going to sit even lower. And then because of that, if you look, with dropping it all the way down, I am going to run into some tire clearance issues if I were to keep these wheels and tires, but those will be getting changed as well. Kind of show you a look inside here. I'm not sure how well the camera will pick it up, but being able to see how close all the trimming ended up being in there. There's really not any other space available. And this thing does have a full interior. It's got a full dashboard, AC vents, you have your shift knob and four-wheel drive selection down there. Radio, I mean, it's all in there. It's very highly detailed. So it's got some cutting that went on, but once everything's repainted black, I think it's going to clean it all up, and you won't even really be able to see that anything was cut up once the doors are closed and have a person sitting in there and everything. Alright, so that's everything will fit in the body on here. Only other thing I have to do to the exterior of the body other than paint, which I'm probably going to touch up some stuff because there's some overspray going on. There's some things that I'd like to detail out, like the little hinges and everything, just to kind of make everything a little bit better detail. The last thing really on the body is going to be getting this fender put into place here. It's probably going to end up, I'll see what the condition is of if they're sending me a new one. I believe Injora is sending me a new fender here. If not, this one can definitely be epoxied into place. It's not going to be that big of a deal, but it kind of gives you an idea of how it sits on here. And this thing's gotta be ready to get out on the trail again very soon. Thanks for watching.